You useless piece of trash! Natasha erupted with rage, grabbing Professor Zhang by the collar and roaring. I told you not to remove the needles, but you just had to. Now something's gone wrong, and this is the result you give me? It's not my fault. I did everything I could. Professor Zhang shook his head furiously, trying to shift the blame. Oh right! It must be that guy from the mountains. He must have messed things up with his acupuncture and made Mr. Harmon worse. Smack! Natasha slapped him hard across the face. You dog! You mess up and try to pin it on someone else? Let me tell you something. If anything happens to my grandfather, I'll skin you alive! Hearing that, Professor Zhang turned pale as a ghost. With the Harmon family's influence, making someone disappear was child's play. What happened? Just then, Dustin walked back into the room. When he saw Mr. Harmon's face turning black and blood flowing from his nose and mouth, his brows furrowed deeply. I told you not to pull the needles. Why didn't you listen? He asked, visibly annoyed. Mr. Dustin, just now, before Natasha could explain, Professor Zhang rushed over and grabbed Dustin's collar, shouting. So it was you who stuck those needles in? Do you have any idea? Your reckless treatment is the reason Mr. Harmon is in critical condition. How are you going to take responsibility? Having finally found a scapegoat, there was no way he'd let this opportunity go. So you were the one who removed the needles? Dustin raised an eyebrow. Yeah, so what? Nothing. I was just wondering, how does someone with no skills, no accountability, and no shame even become a doctor? You, shut up! Natasha shoved Professor Zhang aside and quickly pulled Dustin toward the bed. Mr. Dustin, the situation is urgent. Please save him, Miss Natasha. This guy's just a charlatan. He has no real ability. Don't be fooled. Professor Zhang said angrily. If he's no good, then you do it. Natasha said coldly, glancing at him. Professor Zhang was instantly speechless. If he had a way to save Mr. Harmon, he would have done it by now. Just as Dustin was preparing to begin, Professor Zhang suddenly added, Hey! Don't say I didn't warn you. Mr. Harmon is a high-status man. If you mess this up, you won't make it out alive. In that case, I won't treat him. You figure it out yourselves. Dustin turned and started walking away, not bothering to argue. You damn idiot! Who told you to speak? Natasha exploded, slapping Professor Zhang hard again. He staggered and nearly fell over. Seeing Professor Zhang's red, swollen face, Dustin's expression remained flat, but inwardly, he felt quite satisfied. Mr. Dustin, please, if you save him, the Harmon family will forever be grateful. Natasha pleaded, changing her tone. It's a bit more complicated now. The poison inside him has been agitated and become more aggressive. Acupuncture alone won't cut it anymore. I need something extra to act as a medicinal guide. Dustin explained. Please tell me what you need. I'll get it for you no matter what. Natasha replied. I need 3 ounces each of green beetles, spiders, and cockroaches. Stir-fry them until fragrant, then seal them in a jar. EW, what do you need that disgusting stuff for? Ruth said, cringing. Stop whining and get it done. Natasha shot her a glare. Helpless, Ruth grabbed a few bodyguards and went out to gather the ingredients. In less than half an hour, a jar of golden stir-fried insects was delivered to the ward. Miss Natasha, once I finish the acupuncture, open the jar and hold it close to your grandfather's nose and mouth. Dustin instructed. Got it. She nodded. I'm starting now. Dustin took out his silver needles, drew a deep breath, and summoned inner energy from his dantian. Then, with a swift motion, he inserted the first needle into Mr. Harmon's lower abdomen. First needle. Buzz. With a flick of his finger, the needle began to spin rapidly. Wisps of silvery energy surged into Mr. Harmon's body. Second needle. Dustin didn't hesitate and struck again. Third needle. Fourth. Fifth. He pierced 3 more points quickly and accurately. Interestingly, every needle he inserted caused a visible twitch on Mr. Harmon's skin, as if something inside was reacting. What a load of mystical nonsense! Professor Zhang sneered. All this talk of silver needles and acupuncture points, just low-level tricks with no real use. Exactly! What can traditional medicine do? It's nowhere near as effective as modern Western medicine. Let's see how this guy embarrasses himself. A few doctors in the room whispered among themselves, clearly dismissive of Dustin's methods, who, by the time Dustin inserted the final needle, his forehead was covered in sweat. What he had just used wasn't ordinary acupuncture. It was the long-lost Mystic Gate Divine Needle technique. This technique could bring someone back from the brink of death, but it required immense inner energy and took a huge toll. Dustin rarely used it unless it was absolutely necessary. Miss Natasha, open the jar, Dustin said calmly. Natasha didn't hesitate. She popped open the insect jar and placed it near her grandfather's face. In just a moment, a strange fragrance began to spread in the room. Most of them were absorbed by Mr. Harmon. More absurdities! Dr. Zhang snorted again. Do you really think some needles and fried insects can save a man from dying? Just because you can't, it doesn't mean others cannot, Dustin replied lightly. If you succeed, I'll eat this container of insects, Dr. Jansen said. Just as he finished speaking, Mr. Harmon opened his mouth for the first time after days of being unresponsive. A black centipede crawled out of his mouth. Attracted by the smell of the fried insect, it climbed into the container and began eating them. A centipede? Is that a centipede? Oh my God! There was a centipede in Mr. Harmon's body! Ew! When the people in the room realized what was happening, they were shocked. Ruth even started vomiting. It was terrifying to see a centipede climb out of a human's mouth. This was the stuff of nightmares. Suddenly, there was a sound of loud coughing from the bed. Mr. Harmon opened his eyes. He's awake? Seeing Mr. Harmon suddenly regain consciousness, everyone was once again stunned, especially when they saw the readings on the monitors returning to normal. No one could say a word. No one had expected that an illness so baffling even their expert team couldn't treat would actually be cured by a young man. It was unbelievable. That's amazing! Grandpa's finally okay. Seeing Mr. Harmon's complexion return to normal, Ruth was overwhelmed with joy and tears. Natasha finally let out a long breath of relief. Mr. Dustin, we can't thank you enough. From now on, you are an honored guest of the Harmon family, she said with a deep bow. There's no need for such formality, Miss Harmon. It was just a small effort, Dustin replied with a calm smile. Though he spoke modestly to Professor Zhang, the words were like a slap to the face. They had exhausted every option and failed to find a cure, and this guy says it was just a small effort. Wasn't that a straight-up insult? Hey you, what's with this centipede? How did something like that get into my grandpa's body? Ruth suddenly asked. That's not an ordinary centipede, Dustin replied. It's a parasite, a venomous worm. He turned toward Mr. Harmon and asked, Sir, did you recently travel out of town? And did you eat anything suspicious? That's right. I attended a banquet in the provincial capital a few days ago, and I did drink a bit. Mr. Harmon nodded. If I'm not mistaken, someone tried to poison you with a venomous curse, Dustin said bluntly. Poisoned? Mr. Harmon was slightly stunned. The others looked at each other in shock. The whole thing sounded way too far-fetched. Enough with the nonsense, Professor Zhang interrupted. A curse? That's all superstition. I say Mr. Harmon probably ingested centipede eggs by mistake, Professor Zhang, Dustin said coolly. Let me ask you this. Can regular centipede eggs survive inside the human body? It's okay if you don't know, but please don't flaunt your ignorance. You! Professor Zhang wanted to argue, but Natasha shot him a sharp glare, instantly shutting him up. Thank you for the warning, Mr. Rhys. I'll look into this thoroughly, she said seriously. She'd heard of venomous curses before, but never imagined one would affect her own grandfather. No matter who dared to go this far, she'd make them pay dearly. The parasite has been removed, Dustin added, but traces of the poison remain. Brew this prescription for 3 to 5 days, and he'll fully recover. He handed her a slip of paper. Thank you so much, Mr. Rhys. She quickly accepted it. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now. I'll walk you out, Natasha offered politely. Sis, what about this jar of bugs? Ruth suddenly asked. Didn't Professor Zhang say earlier that he wanted to eat them? Then let's fulfill his wish. You all watch him eat it. Don't let him leave until he finishes every last bug, Natasha ordered coldly. What? Upon hearing that, Professor Zhang's face turned pale as death. Meanwhile, in another hospital ward, Mom! That bastard Dustin actually hit me. You've got to stand up for me this time. James lay on the hospital bed, whining and sobbing. His head was wrapped in thick layers of bandages, leaving only his eyes and nose exposed. Don't worry, honey. I'll make him pay, Florence said angrily, her heart aching for her son. Ms. Florence, did Dustin really dare to attack you guys? Said a sharply dressed man nearby. It was none other than Chris Nolan, the second son of the Nolan family, and also the most devoted pursuer of Dahlia. You didn't see it, Chris. That lunatic just went wild. He pounced on my son and beat him like a madman. No one could stop him, Florence said, face twisted in resentment. Oh? That arrogant? Chris narrowed his eyes. Miss Florence, I know some people on the street. Want me to help you teach him a lesson? If you could do that, I'd be so grateful. Florence's face lit up with hope. Chris, you've got to get people to beat him good, cripple him if you can. James shouted. No problem. I'll make sure he never gets out of bed again. Chris grinned wickedly. He'd long disliked Dustin. A powerless, penniless nobody. What right did he have to marry a beautiful CEO like Dahlia? Now that an opportunity had come, Chris intended to step on him hard. James, how are your injuries? Just then, Dahlia walked into the room in a long black dress. Her stunning figure and gorgeous face immediately made Chris's eyes light up. Sis! You're finally here! Look at me! Just look at what he did to me! James shot up, pointing at his bandaged face. I've already heard what happened. Dustin apologized to me over the phone. Let's just let it go, Dahlia said, trying to comfort him. Let it go! James's voice rose sharply. Are you kidding me, sis? He beat me until I look like a pig, and you want to just let it go? What am I to you? Then what do you want? I want him to kneel and beg for forgiveness. He's still your brother-in-law. Let's not blow this out of proportion. Brother-in-law, my ass! Don't think I don't know. You two are already divorced. Even so, can't you show some decency? Besides, you're not entirely innocent in this. Sis! Why are you defending some outsider? What did I do wrong? All I did was smash some dumb necklace of his. What's the big deal? James said indignantly. Wait, what did you say? Necklace? Dahlia's brow furrowed. Yeah. That stupid necklace you always used to wear. He claimed it was some sort of family heirloom, but it looked like garbage to me. James scoffed. You broke that necklace? Dahlia asked in disbelief. Of course. That guy had the nerve to say no when I asked for it, so I just smashed it on the spot. James said confidently. You deserve to get hit. Dahlia's face flushed with rage. At last, she understood why Dustin had lost control. So her brother tried to rob him, and even destroyed the necklace? Others might not know, but she did. That necklace wasn't just a family heirloom. It was the only memento Dustin had from his mother. It was his belief, his comfort, his anchor. When they divorced, Dustin gave up everything, except that necklace. That alone spoke volumes about its importance. It's just a stupid necklace. Why are you yelling at me? James muttered, feeling wronged. Exactly. It's not more important than your brother's life. Florence snapped. I'll deal with both of you later, Dahlia said coldly before storming out. Her brother was arrogant and unreasonable. Her mother reversed black and white and vilified Dustin. On top of that, she'd been impulsive and said some truly hurtful things. Now, in hindsight, she couldn't help but feel regret. Yes, unless he had been truly provoked, Dustin wouldn't have raised his hand so easily. It was her. She had wronged him. At this moment, inside a silver Bentley in motion, Mr. Rhys, thank you for saving my life. This is the Harmon family's Azure Dragon card. Please accept it. Natasha took out a black card with golden edges and handed it over. With this card, you are now an honored guest of the Harmon family. For any business under our name, you'll receive the best service available. Miss Natasha, this isn't what I need. Dustin shook his head. Don't worry, Mr. Rhys. This is just a token of my appreciation. As for the dragonheart grass that President Hunter mentioned, I'll have someone deliver it to your residence tomorrow. Natasha smiled. You're straightforward, Miss Natasha. Thank you then. Dustin smiled and casually accepted the Azure Dragon card. Anything Natasha willingly gave away was bound to be valuable. Screech! Just as the two were talking, the driver suddenly braked sharply and stopped by the roadside. Sorry, boss. They forced me to do it. Muttering this cryptically, the driver ran off and disappeared. At the same time, two black vans with fake plates came roaring in. One in front and one behind, they blocked the Bentley completely. The doors opened, and over a dozen masked thugs with clubs rushed out menacingly. Leading them was a bald, muscular man. Miss Natasha, my boss wants to see you. Come with us, the bald man said, stepping onto the hood with a knife in hand. You've got guts hijacking my car? Natasha didn't panic at all. Instead, a powerful aura radiated from her. If your bodyguards were here, we wouldn't dare. But they're all at the hospital guarding Mr. Harmon. You've only got this pretty boy with you. How could we pass up such a chance? The bald man grinned. Not bad. You're even smart enough to bribe my driver. But now I'm curious. Who's your boss? Natasha said calmly. You'll know once we get there. Now get out of the car, the bald man ordered. You don't have the qualifications to ask me to get out. Natasha didn't give him an inch. You're asking for it. Don't blame us for being rude. The bald man waved his hand, and someone passed him a large iron hammer. Just as he raised it to smash the window, Dustin suddenly opened the door and stepped out. Miss Natasha, the pretty boy you've got sure is cowardly. I haven't even started yet, and he's already wetting his pants. You like men like this? The bald man mocked. Natasha frowned but didn't say anything. Her hand silently reached into her purse. I'll give you 5 seconds to disappear, Dustin said coldly. You brat! Do you know what you're saying? Trying to play the hero? You must be tired of living. Before he finished speaking, slap! Dustin smacked the bald man hard across the face. The force twisted his whole head to the side. He staggered and almost fell. Damn! This guy dares to fight back? Kill him! The rest of the thugs charged at once. Dustin was unfazed and met them head-on. His figure darted through the crowd like a ghost. Each time he got close, he slapped someone. Slap, slap, slap. With crisp smacks, in just a few seconds, the large group of burly thugs were all knocked to the ground. 1 slap per person. No more, no less. The entire scene was quick and clean, like chopping vegetables. The bald man, who had just recovered from the first blow, was completely stunned. He never dreamed this pretty boy would be so fierce. Over a dozen seasoned thugs didn't even lay a finger on him. Interesting. Natasha raised an eyebrow, her eyes sparkling. She put away the pistol hidden in her purse. She had thought Dustin was about to suffer, but he turned out to be surprisingly powerful. Taking down a gang of brutes so effortlessly, his combat strength might even surpass her top bodyguards. Handsome, skilled in medicine and combat? What a rare man! Stop right there! Seeing Dustin step closer, the bald man panicked. Don't come any closer! If you dare touch me, ugh! Before he finished, Dustin punched him in the gut, making him fall to his knees and vomit his lunch. Miss Natasha, he's all yours now, Dustin said, stepping aside. Thank you? Natasha nodded, walked forward, and looked down coldly at the bald man. Speak! Who's your boss? I, the bald man stammered. Not talking? Natasha smiled, picked up a knife, and held it to his neck. Then I'll slice you into pieces. As she raised the blade, the bald man panicked. Don't! I'll talk. It's Trevor Spanner from the Dre Group. He caved immediately. At this point, survival trumped loyalty. So it was him, Natasha sneered. Go tell Trevor Spanner what happened tonight. I'll remember it. When the time is right, I'll pay him a visit personally. Now get lost! Yes, yes, of course. The bald man scrambled away with his crew. Miss Natasha, first your grandfather was poisoned, and now you're ambushed. It's all clearly connected. Looks like this Trevor Spanner isn't just some nobody, Dustin remarked. Trevor is a mad dog, but I'm not too worried about him. What's dangerous is the backer behind him. I don't want to alert them just yet. I'll let him run free for a few more days. Once the time is right, I'll wipe them all out. Natasha's eyes turned cold. When she strikes, It'll be swift and deadly, as long as you're prepared. Dustin nodded. He had no interest in getting involved in this mess. Mr. Rhys, to be honest, you've been a huge help to my family. First, you saved my grandfather. Now you saved me. I truly don't know how to thank you. Natasha's eyes shimmered with admiration. It was just a small favor. No big deal. No, I have to repay such a big debt. With a mischievous smile, Natasha leaned in. To show my sincerity, why don't I offer myself to you? Huh? Dustin's expression stiffened. He hadn't expected Natasha to say something like that. Her beauty was different from Dahlia's cool elegance. Natasha possessed a charm that was seductive and alluring, full of feminine allure. Especially when she smiled, it was captivating, even soul-stealing. Put simply, she was a natural-born enchantress, the kind most men couldn't resist. Pfft. I was just kidding. Look at you, all scared. Natasha laughed, her body swaying with delight. The two snow-white curves on her chest trembled with each chuckle, a powerful visual impact. Dustin twitched at the corner of his eye and quickly averted his gaze. This woman was too tempting. The more he looked, the more dangerous it felt. Mr. Rhys, back to business. I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you again, Natasha said as her smile gradually faded. What is it? Dustin was slightly surprised. You know, all my bodyguards are still guarding my grandfather at the hospital, and I have no one else around. Now that I've been targeted, my personal safety is at risk. So I hope you can protect me, 24 hours a day, Natasha requested. Protect you? Dustin raised an eyebrow. Miss Natasha, wouldn't it be better if you just hid somewhere safe? You may not know this, Mr. Rhys, but the Harmon family is hosting a major charity gala tonight. As the organizer, I can't be absent. If something happens during the event, I'm just a weak woman. I wouldn't be able to defend myself. Considering the Dragonheart grass, you wouldn't want me to get hurt, would you? Natasha blinked her beautiful eyes, putting on a pitiful look. This? Dustin hesitated for 2 seconds, then finally nodded. All right, though it was a bit troublesome, he had no choice, for the sake of the Dragonheart grass. He couldn't afford any unexpected incidents. Thank you, Mr. Rhys. Natasha curled her lips into a smile full of hidden meaning. Protection was just an excuse. What she really wanted was the man himself. At dusk, outside Phoenix Pavilion, as one of Swinton's most famous traditional-style hotels, Phoenix Pavilion covered a vast area. From a distance, it looked just like a royal residence. Tall walls surrounded ornate buildings with intricate carvings and brilliant colors. Gardens, bamboo groves, wine cellars, artificial lakes. It had everything. The whole place exuded a refined, classical elegance. At that moment, a black Mercedes slowly came to a stop at the entrance. The door opened, and a stunning woman in a long black dress stepped out first. Her skin was fair, her legs long, her features exquisite, perfectly so, and she carried a naturally cool, distant aura. The moment she appeared, she stood out like a crane among chickens. She instantly outshone every other woman present. She's gorgeous! Is she some big celebrity? Damn, that face, that figure, unreal! Wait, isn't that President Dahlia from Allure Group? She's one of Swinton's 4 beauties. Whispers rippled through the guests at the entrance, all captivated by Dahlia's beauty. But due to her status, no one dared approach. I didn't expect Phoenix Pavilion to be so beautiful. Those gray tiles and white walls. It's got real character. Secretary Lyra stepped out of the car behind her and couldn't help but marvel. Phoenix Pavilion is the Harmon family's exclusive venue. Naturally, it's extraordinary. For ordinary people, just stepping inside is like a carp leaping over the dragon gate, Dahlia said as she glanced around. Even with her discerning eyes, she had to admit, this place was truly impressive. Dahlia, you're here? Just then, a young man in a suit and glasses approached. It was none other than Chris Nolan from the Nolan family. So it's young Master Nolan. What, you interested in charity now? Dahlia said blandly. A regular charity event? I wouldn't care. But this is hosted by the Harmon family. Who dares not give face? Chris smiled. The Harmon family, one of Swinton's 3 major clans, a true aristocratic powerhouse. In Swinton, their influence was unmatched. Forget a charity gala. If they threw a pile of trash on the ground, countless people would rush to grab it. Mr. Nolan, I think you've come for reasons beyond charity, haven't you? Lyra squinted playfully. Attending the gala is just an excuse. I mainly came to help you, Chris said with confidence. Help us? Lyra was puzzled. I heard a little group made it onto the Harmon family's preliminary partner list. But to become an official partner, you're still a bit short. So I'm here to give you a boost and help you seal the deal, Chris declared. That's wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Lyra's face lit up with joy. If they could become a partner of the Harmon family, Allure Group would ascend to a whole new level. Even her own position as the president's secretary would rise with it. No need for thanks. With my relationship with Dahlia, this is nothing, Chris said with a knowing smile. Exactly, we're all family here, Lyra added with a laugh. However, Dahlia seemed to not hear a word of their conversation. Her gaze had been locked onto the distance the whole time. There, a luxury car was parked. And beside it stood a familiar figure. That's Dustin? She stared more closely and finally confirmed it. Ever since the truth behind the assault incident came to light, she had felt guilty toward Dustin. Now that they had crossed paths again, she knew she had to clear up the misunderstanding. With that thought, she walked toward him at once. Dustin! Dahlia opened her mouth to speak, but suddenly froze, because she saw a stunning woman standing next to Dustin. The woman wore a figure-hugging red chipao, tailored to perfection. Her slender waist, curvy hips, and full bust were on full display. Coupled with flawless features and an elegant, regal aura, she looked like a queen descending from the heavens, an overwhelming presence. So it's President Nicholson. What can I do for you? When Dustin saw Dahlia approaching, his eyes paused for a moment, but quickly turned cold. I just happened to run into you, so I came to say hello. The explanation Dahlia had prepared was swallowed back down. She had heard from her mother that Dustin already had someone new, but she didn't quite believe it. To her surprise, it was actually true. Even though the two were already divorced, seeing her ex-husband with another woman so soon still made her uncomfortable. It was a strange kind of repulsion. Mr. Dustin, is this your friend? Natasha looked her up and down. Relying on a woman's instinct, she could instantly sense the faint hostility from the other woman. She is my ex-wife, Dustin replied. Oh? Natasha raised an elegant brow, the corners of her mouth curling up in amusement. Hi, my name is Natasha. Nice to meet you. She smiled and extended her hand, appearing composed and dignified. But the slight tilt of her chin carried an invisible pressure. Hello? Dahlia responded politely. Although she had always been confident, she had to admit the woman in front of her was stunning. In terms of looks, figure, and temperament, she was not inferior in the slightest. In fact, in some aspects, she was even more captivating. Any man would probably prefer someone like her, right? Dustin, how come I've never seen this friend of yours before? Dahlia couldn't help but ask. Did you ever care about those things before? Dustin said indifferently. That one line left Dahlia speechless. She hadn't expected him to be so blunt, almost cutting. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Dustin, I just want to talk to you. After a brief silence, Dahlia spoke again. About what? Dustin's face remained expressionless. This isn't the right place. Come with me, Dahlia said as she began walking toward the corner. When she noticed he hadn't followed, she stopped, frowning slightly. If you have something to say, just say it here. Don't want anyone to get the wrong idea, Dustin replied. Must you be like this? Dahlia frowned again. She had already put her pride aside, ready to reconcile. But why did he reject her so coldly, like she meant nothing to him? President Nicholson, we're already divorced. You're someone of status. Best not be seen with someone like me. It might damage your reputation, Dustin said. I don't understand. Why did it have to end up like this? Dahlia's face darkened slightly. You're asking me? Dustin slowly raised his eyes. Wasn't this all your choice? Dahlia was at a loss for words. Yes, it was her who asked for the divorce. So what was the point of saying all this now? But where was this feeling of resentment coming from? Especially when she saw Dustin with another woman. Why did it make her so angry? And the anger was only growing. Dustin, I know you hate me, but I don't think I did anything wrong. Besides, I gave you a chance. Dahlia's tone grew cold. She had always been proud. Lowering her guard like this was difficult enough. But he didn't appreciate it at all. So, I'm the one at fault, huh? Dustin couldn't help but find it amusing. I don't want to argue with you, it's meaningless. But if you had any respect for me, you wouldn't parade another woman in front of me like this. Dahlia said sharply. Respect? Dustin suddenly laughed. Then what about Chris Nolan? Before the divorce, you were already tangled up with him. And now you're lecturing me about respect? Believe it or not, I have a clear conscience, Dahlia said proudly. Is that so? Dustin smirked and pointed at Chris Nolan, who was walking toward them. Is this your idea of a clear conscience? Ha, well, I've seen it all now. They were clearly fooling around behind the scenes and still showed up at the banquet together. And she dared talk about a clear conscience? Ridiculous. Dahlia frowned but said nothing. First, because there was no need. Second, she knew he wouldn't believe her anyway. Dahlia, we were just talking. Why'd you run off over here? Chris Nolan said with a smile as he approached. However, when his eyes fell on the breathtaking Natasha, he immediately froze, his gaze filled with greedy desire. Even his breathing turned heavy. Beautiful. Utterly stunning. He had never seen such a perfect woman. If Dahlia was cold water, then Natasha was blazing fire. Just standing there without saying a word, she exuded endless charm and seduction. A born temptress. After a long stare, Chris Nolan shifted his gaze away subtly. He knew better than to make it too obvious around a beauty like that. First impressions mattered. Dustin, what are you doing here? Chris Nolan's expression quickly shifted into a frown, especially when he noticed the closeness between Dustin and Natasha. He was overcome with jealousy. Damn it! What did this punk do to deserve this? He just divorced Dahlia and already landed a goddess? Did his ancestors bless him or something? Why wouldn't I be here? Dustin replied calmly. I heard from Dahlia that you're just a gopher at Grace Enterprises. With your status, I doubt you even qualify to enter Phoenix Tower. You're not trying to sneak in, are you? Chris Nolan squinted at him. Whether I qualify or not, that's none of your business, Dustin said plainly. Humph, looks like I hit the nail on the head. Chris Nolan sneered and turned to Natasha. Miss, you must have been deceived. The guy beside you isn't some wealthy heir. He's just a lowlife from the bottom of society. He doesn't deserve someone like you. To him, Dustin must have tricked her. How else could a guy like that be accompanied by a woman like her? So what? As long as I like him, Natasha replied with a playful smile. With your looks and temperament, you could easily marry into a wealthy family. Why suffer with this guy? Chris Nolan asked, confused. What's so great about a rich family? In my eyes, Dustin is the best, Natasha said, wrapping her arm around his. The best? Chris Nolan scoffed. No money, no power, no skills. What's so great about him? At least he's better looking than you, Natasha said without mercy. Humph. What's the use of good looks? In the end, he's just a pretty boy. Chris Nolan's face darkened as he warned. Miss, don't say I didn't warn you. If you keep being so blind and get scammed out of your money, or worse, you'll regret it. Get scammed? Natasha giggled, her body shaking with laughter. I'd love to be scammed by him, if only he'd be willing. Her bold words made all three, Dahlia, Chris Nolan, and even Dustin, furrow their brows. Even Dustin felt overwhelmed. This woman's seduction was truly dangerous, not something the average man could handle.
And just can't accept it. This can't be the end yet. You promised to never leave, and now you're gone. Can't believe I can feel the world slipping away as you slowly fade from my everyday. You promised forever a love without end, but now I'm left broken, struggling to mend. I thought we gentle grace.